In the early 1900s, two monstrous wars shook the world to its core: World War I and World War II. Together, they claimed the lives of over 1.2 billion people. But today's story takes us back to the first one, into the heart of a nightmare that was all too real. A mission where just 24 hours could decide the fate of 1,600 soldiers. And one wrong move meant certain death. The impossible task fell on the shoulders of only two young British soldiers. Their mission: deliver a critical message across enemy lines. If they failed, an entire battalion would be wiped out by a surprise attack. So they ran through muddy trenches, past fields stained with blood, under a hail of gunfire, and across the shattered ruins of war, all on foot, deep into enemy territory. Did they make it in time? This harrowing and pulse-pounding true story was brought to life in 1917, a cinematic masterpiece that doesn't just tell a war story, but a desperate race against time. April 6, 1917. World War I is raging across Europe. Amid this chaos, the film opens with a serene image. Fields blooming with wildflowers where two young British soldiers, Tom Blake and William Schofield, are fast asleep. Peaceful. But that peace is shattered when another soldier wakes Blake and tells him to choose someone and come along. He picks Schofield. The two begin walking through their regiment's trenches, dark, narrow, and endless. And as they move, the contrast becomes striking. Above lies beauty. Below, a brutal maze shaped by war. These trenches weren't just holes in the ground. They were a grim reality of World War I. Miles of mud-soaked tunnels where men lived for months in filth and fear, trying to hold the line. Disease, hunger, and cold killed more men than bullets did. Rats the size of cats fed on corpses, and soldiers slowly wasted away in the damp earth. Between enemy trenches stretched a narrow, deadly zone. No man's land. Even though the trenches were hellish, crossing that open field meant certain death. Back in the story, the soldier guiding Blake and Schofield leads them to their commanding officer's dugout. There, the general explains a dire mission. A British unit called the 2nd Devons is positioned just beyond no man's land. They're preparing to attack what they believe is a retreating German force. But it's a trap. The Germans are pretending to fall back, while in reality, they've fortified the area and are waiting to ambush. If the attack goes forward, 1,600 men will be slaughtered. Communication lines are down. The phone cables were cut by the enemy. There's no way to warn them except by hand. That's where Blake and Schofield come in. Blake is chosen not only for his navigation skills, but because his brother, Joseph, is among the soldiers who would be walking into the trap. Blake doesn't hesitate. He's determined to deliver the message, whatever it takes. Schofield urges him to wait until nightfall for better cover, but Blake refuses. Time is running out. They push forward, reaching the very front of the British line. There, they show a lieutenant a signed pass granting permission to leave the trench. And so begins their deadly journey, through thick coils of barbed wire, ankle-deep mud, and the stench of death. Rotting horses, scattered bodies, buzzing flies. Even the rats are well fed out here. Their mission has begun, with the clock ticking, and death lurking behind every step. In a place like this, where death is a guarantee, who would dare return just to retrieve a corpse? That thought hangs heavy in the air. As Blake and Schofield press forward, William accidentally cuts his hand on a coil of barbed wire. Moments later, his injured hand slips straight into the rotting remains of a corpse hidden in the mud, an infection just waiting to happen. They suddenly spot planes overhead and instinctively take cover, fearing an attack. But the planes turn out to be theirs, British reconnaissance aircraft. They continue on, cautiously wading through filthy water and thick mud until they reach the abandoned German trenches. At first, it seems the intel was right. The enemy has truly pulled back. Relieved, they move ahead through the empty trench lines. But soon, they notice smoldering embers in a nearby fire pit, still warm. Someone had been there not long ago. Their nerves tighten again. As they explore deeper, they discover something startling: underground bunkers built by the Germans. Unlike the crude, cramped British trenches, these are fortified, complex, and eerily quiet. That's when Schofield notices a thin wire stretched across the path, an explosive tripwire. A single touch could detonate the whole place. They freeze, but just then, a fat rat, bloated from feasting on corpses, runs across and trips the wire. Boom! A deafening explosion rips through the tunnel. Blake escapes with minor injuries, but Schofield is nowhere to be seen. Calling out in the dust and darkness, Blake finally finds him pinned under rubble, unconscious. He frantically clears debris and manages to pull him out just before more of the structure collapses. Schofield, half blinded by dust and pain, regains his vision with tears welling in his eyes. Angry and shaken, he lashes out at Blake. "Why did you pick me for this mission?" he demands. He thought they'd been chosen for something simple, not a death sentence. Blake listens quietly. Schofield finally tells him to turn back. that he's done. Even though Schofield is furious, he doesn't leave Blake behind. They continue their journey step by step through the wreckage of war. To lighten the mood, Schofield jokes that maybe Blake deserves a medal for saving him. Blake chuckles and, out of curiosity, asks about the medal Schofield had earned earlier, but Schofield reveals he traded it for a bottle of wine, because out here, under the shadow of death, survival tools are worth far more than shiny honors. Soon, they come across an abandoned farmhouse. The trees around it have been crudely chopped down, clear signs that German troops had been here before pulling back. Even the farm dog lies lifeless. In a rare stroke of luck, they find a lone cow still alive. Schofield is thrilled. He quickly fills his canteen with fresh milk. Suddenly, the calm is shattered. Above them, planes roar through the sky. British and German aircraft locked in a dogfight. One German plane is hit and spirals downward, crashing just behind the farmhouse in a ball of fire. The pilot is trapped inside, burning alive. Blake, without hesitation, rushes to pull him out of the wreckage. Schofield warns him, urging that they should just put the man down, but Blake insists on helping. He sends Schofield to fetch water, but as Blake tries to aid the injured pilot, the man stabs him, right in the stomach. Schofield returns just in time to shoot the pilot, but the damage is done. Blood pours from Blake's wound. Schofield tries to carry him, tries to run for help, but it's no use. Blake is too far gone. Both men know the end is near. Blake begins to cry, the pain unbearable. He pulls out a photograph, his mother and his brother. As tears roll down his cheeks, he begs Schofield to write to his mother. "Tell her I wasn't afraid," he says. Schofield holds him, comforting him in his final moments. He promises to finish the mission. He'll find Blake's brother. He'll deliver the message. And then Blake dies, quietly, head resting in Schofield's lap. Just then, a group of British soldiers appear near the farmhouse. They spot Schofield and rush to help, unaware they've arrived moments too late. The soldiers take Schofield into their truck and drive through the broken countryside. But suddenly, the vehicle sinks into the mud. Time is bleeding away. Schofield, desperate, yells for everyone to push. He tells them, if he doesn't deliver this message in time, 1,600 soldiers will walk into a trap and die. No one argues. They shove the truck out of the mud, and the journey continues. As they pass through a ruined village, they see something chilling. Every single farm animal has been shot. Cows, pigs, even dogs, slaughtered. The Germans had killed everything. Not even innocent animals could escape the cruelty of war. Soon, the road ahead is blocked. A destroyed bridge forces the convoy to turn back. Schofield can't afford the delay. He thanks the soldiers and jumps out, continuing alone on foot. He crosses the collapsed bridge, inching across the beams. But just then, a German sniper spots him from a tower. A shot rings out. Schofield ducks and fires back, climbing toward the tower. A tense firefight erupts. He hits the German, but the force knocks Schofield down the stairs. His head slams into the ground. Blackness. Hours pass before he regains consciousness. It's night. Fires burn in the ruins around him. He stumbles through crumbling buildings as gunshots echo in the distance. A German soldier chases him through the shadows. Schofield bursts through a wooden door and hides inside. There, in the flickering dark, he finds a frightened young woman. She thinks he's German, but he quickly tells her he's British. The place is a small village in France, now destroyed and overrun by the enemy. She helps stop the bleeding from his head, gently tending to his wounds. In a quiet corner of the room, Schofield notices a baby. The woman tells him she found the child abandoned, left behind in the chaos. Without hesitation, Schofield gives her the milk he'd been carrying since the farmhouse. She urges him not to leave, but he must. Outside, he runs straight into another German soldier. They lock eyes. Schofield acts fast. He grabs the man and strangles him before he can call for help, but it's too late. The noise draws others. Alarms ring out. Bullets fly. Schofield runs for his life. He dives into a river, the current thrashing him like a rag doll. The water drags him through darkness until he's hurled over a waterfall. He nearly drowns. Barely conscious, he grabs onto a branch, clinging for life. As he floats in the debris, cherry blossom petals begin to fall onto the water around him. That soft beauty, against the horror, jolts something in him. He climbs ashore, breathless, collapsing beside a pile of dead soldiers. Tears break free. He's alive, but at what cost? Eventually, he finds his way through the woods. There, a group of British soldiers sit silently while one sings. The haunting voice drifts through the trees, and Schofield, broken and exhausted, sinks to the ground among them. He listens, letting the moment steady him. Afterward, he learns they're the very unit he's been searching for, Colonel Mackenzie's 2nd Devons. But time is gone. Schofield races forward, pushing through the crowded trench. The front line is already preparing for battle. They're just moments from charging into death. He starts yelling, screaming for them to stop the attack, but orders can only be reversed by Colonel Mackenzie himself. And with hundreds of soldiers packed into the narrow trench, reaching the colonel in time seems almost impossible, so Schofield does the unthinkable. He climbs out of the trench, exposed, unprotected. He starts sprinting straight across the open battlefield. Artillery shells explode around him, the ground shaking beneath every step. Soldiers charge past in waves, unaware of the message he's carrying, but Schofield keeps running because he's come too far to fail now. It's one of the most powerful, emotional, and breathtaking moments in the film, his desperate run against time, against death, and against the odds. Finally, he reaches Colonel Mackenzie. Breathless and muddy, he hands over the letter, warning him that the Germans have laid a deadly trap, one they've been planning for months. Mackenzie reads the orders and calls off the attack just in time. Schofield survives, but his mission isn't over yet. He begins searching through the medical tents, row after row of wounded and dying soldiers, until he finally finds Joseph, Blake's brother. Gently, he delivers the heartbreaking news. Joseph is devastated, but Schofield assures him his brother was brave, kind, and saved many lives, including his. Then, alone and exhausted, Schofield walks away. He sits beneath a quiet tree, pulls out a small photo of his wife and daughters, and reads the words written on the back, "Come back to us." That moment brings everything full circle. What makes 1917 so unique is its storytelling. The entire film is shot to look like one continuous take, from the moment Blake and Schofield sit in the flower field to the final scene under that tree. There are no obvious cuts, no breaks, just an unbroken journey that makes you feel like you're right there with them. If you've never seen it, don't wait. Blending raw emotion with real history, 1917 is a cinematic experience you won't forget. Released in 2019, the film went on to win multiple Golden Globes and Oscars and currently holds an IMDb rating of 8.3. Friends, if you enjoyed the video, don't forget to give it a like and drop a comment to let me know what you thought. Most importantly, make sure to hit that subscribe button. Your love and support are what keep me going. Thank you so much for watching.